Today we're ranking the 10 hardest Dexter kills. Dexter might make murder look like a twisted art form, but some kills are way harder than chopping onions with a dull knife. I'm ranking these based on a couple different things. Emotional turmoil. Does Dexter need therapy after? Physical struggle. Did he work up a sweat that day? And situational nightmares. Zero time to prep or everything goes sideways. Let's see which kills pushed our beloved forensic geek to his absolute limit. At number 10, we have Little Chino. Don't know who Little Chino is. He is this guy. Bam. He is this gigantic bear of a man. We're talking 6'8" and 278 pounds of pure muscle. He's Latino. He has short, slick black hair. He shows up in season 2. I chose him as number 10 because Dexter really doesn't have like an emotional connection to this guy. But the guy is such a giant guy physically. It was very difficult. The kill took place in a dilapidated building that feels more like a fight club than a murder scene. We had to actually fight with this giant guy. It ended up being less of a precision cut and more of wrestling a bear. This guy, Little Chino, is basically a human wrecking ball. Dexter scrambles around cramped halls. He tries not to get flattened. It's sweaty, it's sloppy, that's what she said. And it's guaranteed to spike your blood pressure. Now, moving on to number 9 of the 10 hardest Dexter kills, I chose Oliver Sexton. He shows up in season 8, episode 12, and the difficulty with this kill was really more about the circumstance, the situation. Let's talk about Oliver Sexton. He is considered and called the brain surgeon because he likes to take a piece of brain from each one of his victims. It's pretty creepy, so he's also got a creepy factor about him. And another thing that's really creepy about Oliver is he seems to be charming and really blend in with regular society very well. To add to the difficulty here, Dexter at this point is emotionally spent, and Saxon is on high alert, so there's a surprise kill here. There's no plastic wrapped kill room, just a stark hospital corridor where Dexter is forced to improvise. It's the climax of when overworked serial killers snap. I'd like to see that Lifetime series. So the setting is a hospital. The method of his kill here is a handy pin to the neck. As anyone in an office knows, sometimes the best weapon is office supply. Let's move on to number 8. For number 8, I chose Kurt Caldwell. He is in the New Blood season or series. Kurt portrays himself as a small town nice guy. He's a rich small town nice guy, at least on the surface. Underneath, he has really paranoid survival instincts. He thinks that he's saving young women, young girls from trauma by hunting them. I chose him as number 8 because Dexter at this point is also juggling fatherhood, which isn't as easy as Instagram moms claim. Merging kid duties with the kill doesn't make the best Hallmark moment. It's difficult. For that reason, I chose him as number 8. For number 7, I chose Lila West. You remember her? If not, let me refresh your memory. She was a sponsor for Narcotics Anonymous. She's a sculptor, and she would steal things to use in her pretty creepy and sometimes disturbing projects that she made. Physically, she's not all that imposing, right? She's got a petite, slender build. She comes on the scene as this kind of really nice, sort of empathetic person, but she is super manipulative. One of the things, though, that makes her dangerous is that she recognizes Dexter's darkness. She becomes obsessed with him to the point where she's believing that he's her soulmate. And another reason I chose her for number 7 is because she really puts Dexter at risk of being caught and uncovered as a serial killer. He just can't have this kind of instability in his life. You could even say that Lila is the human equivalent of a firecracker in a crowded room. She almost burns Dexter's worlds to ashes, literally, forcing him on an international flight to Paris. The eventual kill is part relief, part never travel with someone this crazy, which honestly is a pretty good life motto. Now, the way he killed her in this Paris apartment, standard sedation, with his tranquilizer, and dispatch. For all those reasons, I chose her as number 7. For number 6, we have Travis Marshall. Not to be confused with Marshall Mathers. That's another guy. Travis has the ominous nickname of the Doomsday Killer. This is a crazy season. He's what you could consider a religious killer. He took ideas and concepts from the Bible, twisted them, obviously, and used them for his murders. He's not very imposing. He's tall. He's somewhat strong, but really not all that physically imposing for Dexter. We can't talk about Travis without mentioning that he had killed his mentor, his religious mentor, but psychologically, he believed that this guy was still alive and in the room with him often and talking to him and ordering him to do things against his will. Travis is so apocalypse obsessed, he'd probably try to baptize you in kerosene. The setting of the kill is a macabre church set up straight out of a horror film. So the setting is creepy. The guy is psychologically obsessed. And what makes this even more troubling and difficult of a kill is that Dexter at this point is really torn by questions of faith and guilt, which is super inconvenient when your enemy's staging doomsday scenes left and right. In the end, Dexter confronts Travis in the church, confronts him with his murder of his boss, creates this great psychological divide. Dexter uses his knife, delivered with a side of moral and spiritual tension, and puts Travis out of his misery. It might not be the end of days, but it's the end of Travis's days. Then we have number 5, which is Maria LaGuerta. A great character. If you follow the series all the way through, you know she was in the entire series of the show, and she's also in the original Sin series, played by another character. But here's why I chose her as number 5. Dexter and Maria have a long history. She's also a veteran cop and Dexter's boss, which means this one's a moral sinkhole. Not to mention, he forces Deb, his sister, to join him in the darkness of killing her, which adds a whole nother layer of difficulty to this and a whole nother layer of heartbreak. The setting here is a shipping container by the water because apparently all of Dexter's big moments happen near cargo. But this really is a pivotal moment for Dexter and Dexter's sister, and to bring this all together with this shipping container connected to Dexter's past. The method of the kill, Deb actually pulls the trigger of the gun that ends Maria's life, but Dexter orchestrates the trap. So there's a lot of emotional and psychological difficulty with this one, which is why I put it as number 5. There could easily be an argument that this would be an even more difficult one, that it deserves to be lower on the list, but I put it as number 5. Number 4 is Miguel Prado. Again, there's this deep emotional enmeshment here, which makes this a very difficult kill. Not to mention that Miguel is manipulative, smart, cunning, and he's also a powerful person and a very well-known person in the community, which puts a greater spotlight on Dexter and his darker activities. It's hard to give into your dark passenger if you're standing in the spotlight. The setting for this kill is an abandoned area where friendship goes to die. Miguel, like I said, is a buddy turned nemesis who brandishes Dexter's secret like a weapon. There's betrayal, and the kill weighs heavily on Dexter. It's like losing a toxic friend who knows too much. The method Dexter used is Dexter's knockout injection, culminating in a final lethal confrontation. I chose him as number 4 mostly because of the cunning of the character, Miguel, also the publicity, public figure, and also that there's this emotional best friend kind of connection. Now, number 3 might be somewhat of a controversial choice, but I chose the Trinity killer. Now, I realize that Trinity basically almost killed himself, I think, on a roof, and Dexter saved his life. But I think that shows the emotional connection Dexter has to this guy who he sees as somewhat of a hero and a mentor and maybe even a friend. Trinity is so twisted, he actually makes Dexter reconsider the whole family man routine. Fueled by anguish after what happens to Rita, Dexter is more vengeful than methodical. The result is that he's messy. It's a collision of rage and tragedy. So Dexter's not his usual peak performance self. The method is a hammer after Dexter wrangles the Trinity killer onto a table. Dexter's not in a good place for a serial killer when he takes down the Trinity killer. So that's why I put him as number 3. And then there was 2. So in the number 2 spot, at least on my list, is Mad Dog. And he's from actually the most current season, which, as you probably already know, is a prequel. It's the origin story of Dexter and these other characters. So Dexter is really sloppy. He doesn't use a tranquilizer yet. He's not as adept at fighting and taking down adversaries. And Mad Dog is a professional hitman, or at least an ex-professional hitman. Dexter at this point is basically a rookie in a new environment. Watching Dexter flail around is both hilarious and nerve-wracking. Mad Dog's character name in the show is Anthony Moretti. Even though Dexter knocked him out with a guitar, he didn't stay unconscious. And Mad Dog almost suffocated Dexter with some plastic wrapping in the kill room. Mad Dog was also able to escape and run down the street, which put Dexter in major risk of being found out. What's really interesting about this particular kill is that it's Dexter's first indirect kill, because Dexter chases Moretti into the street and a car actually takes out Mad Dog. Finally, we get to number 1. And my choice for the number 1 hardest kill is Brian Moser. Brian Moser, also known as the Ice Truck Killer, is Dexter's brother. Not to mention that, but he's also Deborah, Dexter's sister's lover. It's very messy. It's very complicated. As far as I can remember, this is one of the only, and maybe the only time that Dexter ever offered to give somebody more of the tranquilizer to, reduce the pain of the actual kill. You could really tell that Dexter had a lot of emotional energy invested into this entire scenario. Probably more than any other kill before, Dexter had more to lose in this situation. And for all of those reasons, I chose him as number 1. So there we have it. That is Dexter's 10 hardest kills, at least according to me. What do you think? Would you have added anyone to the list? Would you have taken someone off the list? What's your order? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.